Hello, and welcome to Mornings with a Mentor. My name is Diller Schwartz, and I'm your host. Please join me on Wednesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. while I interview top talent in our KW Austin family.
In bold, everybody's like, get off of Facebook. And I was like, no, I have to stay on Facebook. That's where my people are. Yeah, that's how I connect with people I used to work with. I connected with everybody I've ever known in my life. So blogging, I used to blog. I've had business from bloggers that I've never met in person. They would reach out to me.
All right. So can you, spend a few minutes telling us who you are, a little bit about your volume, how long you've been in the business? Tell these guys about yourself.
Well, I came into this as kind of a last resort, and we were like immensely in debt. I'm a writer that has published a few things, but never made a lot of money. And so 3 kids through college, building our own house, just working volunteer jobs or small jobs here and there. We were getting, more and more in debt and more stressed out. So it wasn't something I wanted to do, but I couldn't get anybody to interview me when I tried to apply for real jobs. And my sister-in-law had been bugging me. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I didn't think I would enjoy it. I interviewed everybody I knew that was a realtor, including, it's interesting because the Real Trends thing came out the other day. One of my friends from high school went into real estate like 15 years ago, and she's real big into luxury. Then she's like one of the top agents there, but she's the one that told me that the first 3 years, her friends wouldn't use her. And so that kind of prepared me not to jump in and get too disappointed at first and just to stick it out. And so I appreciated that. And so I got into it and discovered I love it because I wasn't a rock star at first. I tried to do things my way and have gradually grown and learned from other people. And I love Keller Williams, how they help us grow and develop and share, like this. Supporting each other. So it's been a gradual thing, but desperation, you just stick with it. And so that's kind of me. This is
How
what
many
I
years
do.
have you been in it?
I joined in 2013. I went to Keller Williams right away. I used to have a lot of other hobbies and not so much like books. I used to read a lot and I still love books, but now it's mostly, personal growth or real estate books, and it's mostly on Audible when I'm driving. I have 3 grandkids, so those are my hobbies now. And then I have an old dog who I would be sitting, but she was in my way, so I'm still standing. And she's moved now, but she's 14 and a half. So my life kind of revolves around her schedule now too. So.
All right. Well, let's get started. So question 1, what are your priorities today?
My priorities today, I do have a closing, and I try to make it to my closings again now as often as possible. I live in Lago Vista, the Lago Vista area. So, I always have to plan my route and my day based on travel time too. So always figure out how long it's going to take me somewhere. So that's a priority, is to be there. My other priority right now, I have more listings. This is my general priority right now. I have more listings than I've ever had before, and I want to get them sold. So my priority is communicating with my sellers today. Every day I try to reach out and update them on the market and figure out what we're going to do to get it sold and keep them updated on feedback and showings. And
What tool are you using for market stats and for your seller updates? Are you checking A-board?
Yeah, mostly just because of time, I get on and do quick CMAs I kind of fine tune it, and I do it in a couple of different ways just to see what's going on, what's left, what's pending. I have intentions to get into RPR more, but I'm always looking for new places to look that are quick and easy. Right now it's, trying to learn how to use something also. But
Yep.
also use CMA Snap whenever I'm coming up with CMAs or pricing, things like that.
All right. And what are your lead gen goals today?
I try to keep it really simple and not overwhelm myself. So it's mostly just as many conversations as I can have with people. And that's a mix of clients or past clients, just friends. I get on social media a lot and just see how people are doing and touch base with them and write cards. I try to have at least 60 touches a day.
Wow. So I love that you said write cards. I'm an old school handwritten note person. There's just something about pen to paper. How many cards are you sending and what are you saying in these cards?
Where am I sending them?
Uh, who are you sending them to and just what
Oh,
are you saying? Hi, I'm Barbara. I'm a
oh.
realtor. Hire me.
So I generally we send out cards through AM cards for like closing versaries. So we do that. And then the others, the more personal ones, and I do tweak those too. My assistant helps me with those just because I was getting behind on them. And then on social media, I keep up with what's going on with people's lives and send cards according to that, and send birthday cards. Uh, so that's mostly greeting cards and
I
just
love I
to
love
their.
AM cards. So for those of you who are driving, I am putting the notes in the chat so when you watch the recording, you will be able to see this. But AM cards, it's the letter A and then the letter M cards. I also use it. You can upload some customized templates in there with your brand and then just click on them and send them. And or you can just go in and select. They also have some packages where you can send like brownies or some cookies. They're small gifts. Just remember lead with revenue, but I do love that Barbara's actually talking to us about cards. All right. So 60 touches, a mix of social media, cards, phone calls. That's your lead gen priority. So let's talk about your first 2 to 3 years or first 2 years. What did the lead gen look like at that point? Same or
Not as many. I took bold right away, and so I had a little clicker. And the first couple of years were challenging because my parents were in bad health in Houston, and over the course of the first year, my dad passed away. I moved my mom here to a nursing home, and so that was one of my appointments every day. I just considered an appointment going to see my mom. But even then, I was just kind of, I had that desperate hunger. So I wore my name tag all the time. So everybody there knew I was a realtor. I got a couple of, pieces of business and leads from the nursing home. And when she was in the hospital, I talked to the doctors, just wherever I was. I just had conversations and just tried to keep it going. And I've never been, I try to keep it casual, especially now it's easier since I have to say I'm like 95 at least percent referral. And so now it's more, if people at church ask me, they know I'm a realtor because I have an ad, I do it kind of like soft, and then they know I'm a realtor, but then I don't
where do you have your
like
ad?
in the church bulletin. So, and then I'll sponsor things. So that way, whenever I'm talking to people, I don't have to say, "Hey, I'm a realtor." They know I'm a realtor. It's in my signature whenever I send out emails. It's in my signature, and so people will bring it up to me like, "Hey, how's the market? Are you busy?" And I just learned to say, instead of going, "Oh yes, my gosh, I'm so busy," blah blah blah. I would say, "Yeah, but never too busy for you or anybody if you need my help." Um, so I just tried to turn it that way, and so it's been helpful. I've
When you
always
said real quick, when you said it's in your signature, do you have just a personal Gmail that also just says that you're a realtor, or do you have like a church email address?
oh no, it's just my Yahoo, really and truly. I've
Okay,
had
so
Yahoo
you have your I'm a realtor on all.
with links, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And so church emails, I use the same email for everything, so it went out everywhere.
awesome. And then you kind of led me to the next question. Let's talk about it. I call it water cooler talk. How do you segue? Let's dive a little bit deeper into the conversation of just someone walking up to you, you're at church, things are probably a little busy. And I always feel like this isn't the time to talk about real estate right now. You know, my Saturdays and
Right.
Sundays and with my family. How
Uh,
go a little bit deeper and how are you transitioning from I see you, I hear you, let's schedule an appointment, let's have a real estate conversation on my real estate books, on my real estate schedule. How does that give us a little
it depends on the conversation. If it's, if it's in general about the market, I just say what I said. But if they're like, hey, I want to talk to you, we're thinking about doing this. I'm like, say that's great. I'll give you a call and we'll set up a time to talk. I was actually out of town this past weekend and for about 5 days. And I had four people call, to wanting to talk about listing their house now. And, that's the way it is. And I just said, that's great. I'm actually out of town right now. I'll be back on Wednesday. Can I give you a call on Thursday? And they were all like, yeah, that's fine. So that's just what I do. Take notes and set it up when I can. And
how are you asking for so I walk up to you you don't have my contact information and I'm like, "Oh, I saw your ad or I know that you're a realtor. We're thinking about doing this. Do you have a few seconds?" And then you want to call me back. How are you getting their information?
if somebody just like if somebody walks up, I just talk to them in general, and then I say I'll need your phone and email so I can send you some information, and they'll usually text it to me because I always tell them I'm dyslexic with writing things down, so I ask them to text it to me, and that way I have it. And if it's a phone call or a text, I always, if they don't identify themselves, say, hey, I want to know about this property. I'm like, that's great. Would you mind, who is this? And so, I make them give me their name and and then we just work it into the conversation too. So
So it's really just asking,
yes, just
right?
ask. Right.
It's simple. You said this at the very beginning of just keeping it simple. I do think sometimes we overcomplicate getting information. And all, I mean,
Absolutely.
you can't do your job without some sort of contact information. And then I love that you also mentioned you just set them up for what's coming up. I'm going to send you something.
Yes. Yeah, I have some information I can send you.
Yeah,
And if
so
they
it's real
don't,
simple.
it's like that's part of a commitment. Time is valuable. So if people aren't serious enough to send me their contact information, then I need to focus on other people too. So,
Right. Let's talk about okay, so you're getting information. It sounds like you're out and about a lot. What does it look like to go from a conversation with Barbara, maybe at church or where you have your name tag on somewhere, to being in your actual database? How are you taking them from your phone to your database, or are you?
I do. If we have a conversation about real estate or even at the very beginning, then I put them in my database, and then just keep track of them. I use command, and so I have smart plans, and it just depends on the level of where they're at. If it's something imminent, put them on a shorter one. If it's something nurture or just stay in touch with them, we just do a quarterly, and that's been awesome. And I send my notes of conversations to my assistant, and she enters them into command for me. And that way, whenever the name comes up and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did we talk about? What was that about? I can look at my notes and see what our last conversation was, and or what I need to ask them about if it comes around time to talk to them again. See, but
Notes are so important.
they are. I can't keep
And
track of everything.
personal notes. You know, if they have kids, if they had a dog, like if I were
Exactly.
calling Barbara back if she were one of my clients, I really need to mention that dog that she is not going to sit down because that dog is taking her seat and she's got grandbabies, right? We need to build rapport. So latch on to those items to open up the conversation so I don't have to call and say, "Hey Barbara, it's Diller, are you looking to buy or sell?"
Yes.
Obviously, she knows I'm a realtor calling her.
Yeah.
How's your dog? How is your grandbabies, right? Or how are your grandbabies? So all right. Let's see the next question here. Does anybody have any questions? I know some of you guys are driving. Please don't type and drive, but the ones of you that are sitting, do you guys have any questions? Let's see. David says, oh, he loves have your assistant enter all the data that you are too busy to capture. Yep. Um, okay, so I think we kind of touched on this, but I do ask all of our guests, what is one action item that you can share with these guys that you really think needs to be on their schedules? A few examples would be send 10 cards, schedule your open houses by 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, door knock 10 homes to the left and to the right. What is an action item that's on your schedule that you would like to share with us?
I think just really keeping it simple and diving into what your passion is, having those conversations, just talking to people. It doesn't have to be about real estate. Just somehow, you ask them about themselves and it'll come up. And be yourself, be genuine, but get out there and talk to people. I mentioned church. I also joined the women's club in Lago Vista. I'm an ambassador on the chamber. I'm a social person, and that's what I did before. I volunteered all over town, and so this has freed me up to be able to go back and be involved in those things and go to meetings and meet different people. And also my high school class. I mean, I graduated like ages ago, but we have reunions every 5 years, and I've always been the person that organized them. So in the beginning, even though I grew up in Houston and a lot of them live there, a lot of my business has come from my high school class. They had kids that went to UT and wanted to buy something, or they knew, everybody knows somebody in Austin. And if they know you're a genuine, person, and they're gonna recommend those people to you. So I've just stayed in touch with all of them. That's why Facebook, when bold, everybody's like, get off of Facebook. And I was like, no, I have to stay on Facebook. That's where my
That's where your
people
people
are.
are.
Yeah, that's how I connect with people I used to work with. I connected with everybody I've ever known in my life. So blogging, I used to blog. I've had business from bloggers that I've never met in person. They would reach out to me. So
Nice. All right, so here's the hot question. You have to get a contract executed in 14 days or less. Let's talk about it in two different areas. Let's first of all, you have to get a buyer 14 days or less. What do you do?
Um, for me, I know I cheated and look back, and a lot of people mention open houses. If you're a new agent, definitely do that. I don't do open houses anymore, but what I do is I go back into my sphere, and I have a lot of people that have mentioned buying, and I will dive back into those nurtures or people have mentioned it and just see if they're still interested, or find out what their objections are, why they're not. I tell them about, like, this is really a good time to buy despite the interest rates. And um
Why,
so that's
why
what
is
I
it a good time to buy? If I'm your friend, I'm your high school classmate, and
do.
tell me, why is it a good time to buy right now? What's that script sound like?
Well, right now, because I work with buyers and sellers both, in a lot of areas, some areas not so much, but in most areas, houses are sitting. Buyers have so much more power than they did a couple of years ago as far as negotiations. Sellers are tending to accept offers that are lower and negotiate those little bits. And so, if with the interest rates up, whenever I bought my first condo, the interest rate was 11%. And that was like right before Gary got in, and it kept going up. So 11% was good, compared to the next couple of years. So it's all relative, and 7% isn't bad at all, and it could go down. I always tell people it'll, if it goes down, you can refinance. If it goes up, you're going to be grateful you bought when you did. So if you need to buy, so I just go and check motivation, and just go down the list and get back to the basics of calling people and reaching out.
Okay, so then let's go to the flip side of this. You've got to get a seller under contract in 14 days or less. What's that look like?
Um, and that's what I'm challenged with right now, is getting some of these listings to move. And so that can be a little bit tougher depending on the seller, how motivated they are. I've found that sellers aren't always open about their motivation. I'm learning to ask more and more questions always, where they said, we're not going to go below this. Well, then all of a sudden, oh, well, maybe we will, maybe we will do this. And so it's just a matter of constantly, reaching out to them. But um, that's basically what I would do, is just reach out to my existing sellers, uh, and see if they want to sell, or how motivated they are.
Motivation.
Yeah.
Motivation has been motivation and open houses in bold, I think, have been the top three topics that every mentor have brought or has brought up on this morning with a mentor, as well as I'm going to ask you next, what's your relationship with your lenders look like? Learning the new products that are out, how often are you speaking to your lender and getting an update on what you can do for buyers?
I get I get several emails every day and text from different lenders, and then I kind of keep a, a little list of different lenders and the products that they do, because I work in different areas. I work with a lot of UT condos that are special. Not everybody will deal with those, and so I try to just stay on top of that, and who will work and do what. And then I text if I have questions about things. I have several. I can just text and ask them questions. So I like my lenders. I'll stop and go have coffee with them.
Perfect. Condos, whew, those are fun. So if anybody is thinking about condos or going under contract or have any questions, they can be tough, especially the older ones.
Mhm.
Barbara is there. And then if any of you are really south and not selling up in Lago, remember Barbara's there to take referrals for you. All right. Any other questions? Any ahas that you want to share in the chat box or raise your hand?
I see one about Bold saying to stay off
Oh,
Facebook. This was, years ago, 10 years ago. And then it was more about face-to-face conversations then, which are important. That when your sphere is spread out everywhere, and even then they were saying don't text people, but a lot of people prefer text, and so a phone call to them is, they didn't like it. And so Bold has adapted over the years, and that's why it's like, follow those guidelines, but tweak if you need to, according to your life and what you're doing.
yeah, I think sometimes it feels like you have a lot of momentum on Facebook, however you're liking and maybe you're
Yes.
commenting, but are you actually taking that content and putting it in a database? So let's say I can see Jana right in front of me. I don't know, her cat does something special and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that, but I never put that in my database, or I
Yeah.
just like it. Like, that's not really traction. But if I send her maybe a cat toy or something fun like that, and then I can call and follow up, and it's like opening the door for conversations.
Yeah.
My number one referral partner in Dallas, this is our relationship started out as jokes on social media. She was cooking one day on a Traeger grill, and I sent her some seasoning that I liked. And her mother is older, and one day her 90-year-old mom was picking weeds, and I sent her a weed picker. I've sent her a t-shirt. Her son was in the hospital. I sent a big stack of coloring books to him. I've never sent her anything about real estate. And then when she sends me her AM cards that has a picture of her, and I literally started making a wall of wallpaper with her face on it. And we've now known each other about 3 years, and it's funny because we actually call each other sis, and it's just been fun, but we've never talked about real estate really. And I think we've done about 7 or 8 referrals back and forth. So you got to take it from just like liking or commenting to actually getting into action. And I think that that's one of the things behind bold, is they don't want to be misleading. And
Right.
yeah, back in the day, my first probably 5 bolds, you texting didn't count. So the whole goal is like to get 20 conversations a day, and a text message did not count.
Yeah.
So, okay, one question. When a seller tells you they're okay if it doesn't sell, but the house is vacant, how are you handling that?
I communication, just, remind them that the house is vacant. Check with your insurance. Does your insurance know? uh, you know, just remind them how much it's costing them and to maintain that house. So,
So what are the holding costs?
yeah.
And then another question, besides lowering the price, any other tips for getting a listing under contract?
Um, yeah, I'll take ideas. We try to hold open houses as much as we can. It's a challenge getting agents to do that right now. We've had some, and to me, that's more about it's it's making it available for people to see, but for me, it's more about putting it out there and advertising on different social media platforms too.
So you don't
Uh,
just put it in the MLS and set it and forget it?
no, no. So then if it's in Lago Vista, I'm a member of the Lago Vista community boards. I'll put it on the community boards and remind people that it's out there. And next door and just different, whatever's appropriate for the location of the house. I'll put it out there some more. Different Facebook groups. So.
All right. Well, that is our time today. Thank you. You guys out. Obviously, I asked if you guys have questions for our mentors that we interview. Please send them one email with a bulleted list of questions so that our inboxes don't get all cluttered up. And I did get to record this one, so I'll post it. And thanks, Barbara, for all of the helpful information. And if you have anyone that I should interview in your market center, please let me know.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.